Hey everyone, this is Mark Thompson. What you're about to hear is my own story, the real one. It's taken me years to find the courage to talk about it publicly. It's painful, it's raw, and parts of it still keep me up at night. But if sharing this helps even one person make better choices or protect their family, then it's worth reliving the worst days of my life. It all started on a Christmas Eve a few years back. The snow was coming down in big, soft flakes outside our windows. Our house looked like something out of a holiday card. Twinkling lights on the tree, stockings hung by the fireplace, the smell of Sarah's homemade cinnamon cookies drifting through every room. My wife, Sarah, she's the most patient, loving woman I've ever known. And our daughter, Emily, she was 16 at the time, full of life, straight-A student, played soccer, had this infectious laugh that could brighten the darkest day. That night, she was bouncing around the living room, guessing what was in each wrapped gift, teasing me about being a terrible wrapper. We sat down for dinner, roast turkey, mashed potatoes, all the classics. We went around the table saying what we were thankful for. Emily said she was thankful for us, her parents. Sarah said the same. When it was my turn, I looked at them both and felt this overwhelming warmth. I promised them right there, this is going to be our best Christmas yet. But deep down, I was carrying a weight they didn't know about. A terrible mistake I'd made years earlier. I thought I'd left it in the past. I was so wrong. Let me take you back about 10 years. I was in my early 30s, full of big dreams but short on cash. Sarah was pregnant with Emily, and my new construction business was barely staying afloat. Bills were piling up, and I was terrified of failing my family before it even fully started. That's when Victor Hale walked into my life. He was one of those guys who seemed to have money flowing from everywhere. He offered me a large loan. No bank, no credit checks, just a handshake. It felt like the answer to my prayers. But Victor wasn't clean. As I went through the paperwork later, I saw things that made my stomach turn. Shady transactions, ties to stuff I didn't want any part of. When the business hit another rough patch and I couldn't repay him on his timeline, he started pressuring me hard. I panicked. Instead of sitting down with him like a man and working something out, I did something cowardly. I gathered the evidence I'd found of his illegal activities and sent it anonymously to the authorities. Victor got arrested. His entire empire crumbled. He lost his money, his house, his freedom. Spent years behind bars. The news called it a major bust. I told myself I had no choice, that I was protecting my future family. I paid off what I could slowly, welcomed baby Emily into the world, built a solid life. I buried the guilt and never told Sarah the full story. I thought it was over. I thought Victor would never connect the dots back to me. But hate like that? It doesn't just disappear. Back to that Christmas Eve. After dinner, we watched a couple holiday movies together, laughing at the cheesy parts. Emily fell asleep on the couch halfway through the second one. I carried her up to bed like I used to when she was little, tucked her in, kissed her forehead. She mumbled, "Love you, Dad," in her sleep. Sarah and I stayed up a bit longer, wrapping a few last gifts, whispering about how lucky we were. We finally went to bed around midnight, thinking everything was perfect. But sometime in the early hours, Emily heard a noise downstairs. She told me later she thought it was me playing Santa, sneaking presents under the tree. Curious like always, she tiptoed down the stairs to catch me in the act. That's the last time she was in our house for days. Christmas morning, Sarah woke up first and went to wake Emily for breakfast. I heard her call Emily's name, then again, louder, then panic in her voice. "Mark, Emily's not in her room." We tore the house apart, closets, basement, garage, everywhere. Then we saw it. The back door slightly open, fresh footprints in the snow leading away into the darkness, and on the kitchen table, a plain white envelope with my name on it. My hands were shaking as I opened it. The note was short. "You took everything from me, Mark. Now I take what matters most to you. Your daughter is safe for now. No police. Wait for my call." I felt the world spin. I knew immediately it was Victor.
Sarah was hysterical. "Who is this? Mark, what did you do?" I sat her down and told her everything. Every ugly detail I'd hidden for a decade. When I finished, she just stared at me, tears streaming down her face. "Our baby girl is gone because of something you did years ago? And you never told me?" I had no defense. The guilt hit me like a truck. My little girl, cold, scared, alone on Christmas Day, all because I took the easy way out back then instead of facing my problems head on. We couldn't call the police. Victor had made that clear. One wrong move and I couldn't even think about it. So we waited. The longest days of my life. The Christmas tree stood there with presents untouched. Neighbors dropped by with holiday cheer, and we had to pretend everything was fine. Every time the phone rang, my heart stopped. I barely ate, barely slept. All I could see was Emily's face, wondering if she was okay, if she was warm enough, if she hated me for putting her in danger. Emily later filled in the blanks for us. She woke up in a cold, dimly lit basement, hands loosely tied to keep her from running. Victor was there, calm but cold. He didn't hurt her physically, he made that clear. This was about me, not her. But the mind games were brutal. He'd sit and talk for hours about how I betrayed him, how I ruined his life. He'd play old news recordings of his arrest, pointing at the screen, saying, "Your father did this." Emily said she cried at first, begged him to let her go home for Christmas, promised we'd give him whatever he wanted. But he just laughed bitterly. "I don't want your money anymore. I want him to feel empty like I did." The worst part for her was starting to doubt me. Hearing all that poison day after day, she wondered if I really was the villain he painted me as. She kept herself strong by thinking about us, remembering family vacations, inside jokes, my bedtime stories when she was little. She held on to hope that I'd find a way to bring her home. I couldn't just sit and wait for Victor's demands. That wasn't me, not anymore. I had to fight back the smart way. I started digging through old files in my office late at night. I still had copies of documents from our original deal, things that proved Victor's crimes went even deeper than what he'd been convicted for before. I reached out quietly to an old contact, a private investigator named Tom, who'd helped me with background checks years ago. I trusted him, and he agreed to help without asking too many questions at first. Together, we built a solid case, new evidence, updated records, things that would put Victor away for good this time. I also set up anonymous tips to the right authorities, ready to go at the perfect moment. Then Victor called with his demands, a large sum of cash delivered by me alone to an abandoned warehouse outside town. He promised he'd release Emily once he had it. I agreed, but I had no intention of letting him walk away. The night of the meet was stormy, wind howling, rain mixing with snow. I drove to the warehouse alone, heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Inside, dim lights. Victor stood there with two hired guys, and in the corner, Emily, tied to a chair, pale and exhausted, but alive. "Dad!" she cried when she saw me. That sound nearly broke me. I forced myself to stay calm, handed over the bag like he asked. He made me admit out loud what I'd done all those years ago. I did. Every word. As we talked, I stalled, kept him engaged, kept him thinking he was in control. Then, red and blue lights flooded the windows, sirens, dozens of police cars surrounding the building. Victor's face went from triumph to pure shock. You set me up?" I looked him straight in the eyes. "You came after my family, Victor. You taught me that when someone threatens the people you love most, you make sure they can never do it again." The police stormed in, arrested him and his men on the spot. Kidnapping, extortion, plus all the old charges reopened with fresh evidence. He was dragged out screaming, his whole plan shattered. I ran to Emily, untied her, held her as she sobbed into my shoulder. "It's over, baby. You're safe. I'm so sorry."
We got home that night and didn't let go of each other for hours. Just sat on the couch, crying, thanking God she was back. Victor went away for a very long time. No parole this round. But the story didn't end there. I had to face my family. I sat Sarah and Emily down and told them every single detail, no holding back. Apologized until my voice gave out. Promised complete honesty from that day forward. It wasn't easy. Trust had been broken. We went to family therapy for over a year. There were tough conversations, tears, anger. But slowly, they forgave me. Emily hugged me one day and said, "Dad, you made a mistake a long time ago, but you fixed it. You saved me. That's the man I know." The next Christmas, we finally opened those presents from the year before. It was quiet, no big feast, just the three of us. But it felt more real than any holiday we'd ever had.
So, what did I learn from all this pain? First, secrets can destroy families from the inside. If you're carrying something heavy, talk about it. Face it before it faces you. Second, when someone wrongs you, don't let hate turn you into something you're not. Victor let revenge consume him, and it cost him everything, twice. Third, real strength isn't about fighting fire with fire. Sometimes the smartest, most powerful revenge is simply doing the right thing, exposing the truth and letting justice run its course. And finally, family is everything. Protect it, cherish it, because in one moment, it can all be taken away. Thank you for letting me share this with you. It wasn't easy, but I hope it touched you in some way. If this story moved you, gave you chills, or made you think, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe. Turn on notifications. I share real stories like this every week. Also, drop a comment below. Where in the world are you watching from right now? And how did this video hit you? Emotional? Intense? Relieving at the end? I read every single comment, and I reply when I can. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones out there. See you in the next one.